library.
You have been sold the idea that success is an event, a sudden explosion, a stroke of luck, or genius revealed overnight. It is a lie. Success is a slow, boring science. If you are looking for the adrenaline of a quick win, you will likely end up like everyone else, exhausted and broke by 30. I am not here to entertain you, but to recalibrate your perception of reality. Chapter 1. The Elite's Invisible Lever. Take a moment to breathe. Calm your mind. You are here because you want more. More money, more freedom, more impact. But before you reach the heights, you must understand the foundation upon which they rest. The concept I am about to share with you is the worst-kept secret of the world's greatest fortunes. It is called the compound effect. This is not a marketing strategy. It is a law of the universe, as inevitable as gravity. To illustrate this, let me ask you a simple question. Imagine I offer you two options today, right here, right now. The first option is a check for $3 million in cash deposited immediately into your bank account. The second option is a single penny, just one, but this penny has a special property. It doubles in value every day for 31 days. Which do you choose? If you crave instant gratification, you will take the $3 million. You will buy a sports car, a luxury watch, and you will feel rich. But let's look at what happens to the person who chose the penny. By day 10, they have only $5.12. Their friends mock them. They drive around in their sports cars while the penny holder is literally counting cents. By day 20, the penny is worth $5,242. Still nothing impressive compared to your millions, but this is where the magic happens. This is where the invisible lever activates. By day 29, that penny has grown to nearly 3 million. On day 30, it exceeds 5 million. And on the 31st day, the one who had the patience to wait finds themselves with over $10 million, 3 times more than you. The difference between these two trajectories was invisible for the first 25 days. This is the very nature of premium success. It is invisible before it is dazzling. Most people quit on day 20 because they don't see immediate results. They think their efforts are in vain. They return to their comfortable mediocrity. But you are going to love the silence of progression. Look at your own life. What are the pennies you refuse to double every day out of simple impatience? Success is not about grand, heroic gestures. It is about micro choices that seem insignificant on the surface. Let's take the example of 3 childhood friends. Let's call them Mark, David, and Thomas. They are the same age, have the same health, and earn the same income. Mark decides to change nothing. He is satisfied. He continues his routine. David, on the other hand, decides to make small, positive adjustments. He starts reading 10 pages of a serious book a day and cuts his caloric intake by 125 calories. It's almost nothing. 1 less apple or 1 less slice of bread. Thomas, conversely, makes small, slightly negative choices. Nothing serious. He buys a larger television to watch his favorite shows and starts eating a muffin every afternoon at work. After 6 months, there is no visible difference between them. They weigh the same, they have the same bank balance. After 18 months, a slight divergence begins to appear, but nothing notable. But starting from the 27th month, the gap becomes colossal. David is now lean. He has lost 15 kilos of fat without ever going on a drastic diet. He has read dozens of books and earned a promotion because his mind is sharper. Thomas, however, has gained 15 kilos. He is lethargic, sleeps poorly, and his mood is dark. His productivity has plummeted. Mark is exactly where he started, but he feels older and more bitter. A simple muffin and 10 pages of reading created two totally different worlds. Which of these three men are you becoming today? Do not answer me with your intentions. Answer me with your actions over the last 24 hours.
The problem is that we live in a microwave culture. We want everything right now. We want the dream body in 2 weeks and the fortune in 3 clicks. This impatience is your greatest enemy. It makes you vulnerable to dream sellers and dangerous shortcuts. A millionaire mentor never looks for the shortcut. He looks for the most solid path. Understand this. Everything of value in this world is the result of long-term investment. Your relationships, your health, your wealth. If you try to force the result, you break the process. Imagine you plant an oak seed. If you come back the next day and see nothing coming out of the ground, will you dig up the seed to see if it's growing? Will you scream at the soil? Of course not. You know that the work is happening beneath the surface. Your career is that seed. Your finances are that seed. The hardest part is not making the effort. The hardest part is enduring the absence of immediate results. This is where the natural selection between the fake ambitious and the future leaders takes place. I want you to think about one habit, just one, that you know is destructive for you. It might not be something huge. Perhaps it is simply checking your phone impulsively the moment you wake up, or that sugary coffee you have every morning. It seems of no consequence, but multiply that action by 365 days, then by 10 years. Do you see the impact on your brain, on your energy, on your time? Now imagine replacing that action with a simple but constructive gesture. Drinking a glass of pure water, or writing down your 3 main goals for the day. It only takes 60 seconds, but in 10 years, that daily minute will have sculpted a version of yourself that you wouldn't even recognize today. The invisible lever is always working, whether you wanted to or not. Either it propels you toward exceptional wealth and mental clarity, or it drags you toward an accumulation of debt and regret. There is no stagnation. If you are not progressing by small steps, you are regressing by small slips. Many of you think you are missing a major opportunity. You are waiting for the big investment, the miracle client, or the genius idea. You are mistaken. What you need is discipline in the details. The millionaires I associate with are not necessarily smarter than you. They don't have superpowers. They simply understood that consistency beats intensity every single time. A 5-hour workout once a month is useless. 20 minutes of movement every day changes your biology. Saving $1,000 once will not make you rich. Automating $100 savings every month for 20 years will. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, but it requires a courage few possess, the courage to be constant when no one is watching and when nothing seems to change. Ask yourself this: if you had to bet on your future success solely based on what you accomplished today, would you be calm or terrified? Be honest with yourself. This honesty is the first step toward mastery. As we conclude this first chapter, I want you to understand that time is either your best ally or your worst betrayer. The earlier you start using the compound effect, the more powerful the lever is. But it is never too late to reorient your trajectory. A plane that changes its direction by only 1 degree upon leaving Paris will end up hundreds of miles away from its initial destination. You are the pilot. Your small daily decisions are the degrees of your trajectory. Never underestimate the power of a single degree. The journey to excellence does not begin with a revolution, but with a resolution. The resolution to never again neglect small victories. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you will have a choice to make. Will you be the man with the $3 million check who ends up losing everything? Or will you be the person with the penny who ends up owning the world? The answer is not in your words, but in what you do in the next 5 minutes. Prepare yourself. The rest of this journey will demand a rigor you have never explored before, but I guarantee you the result is worth every second of patience.
Chapter 2. The Master of Invisible Decisions. The truth is, most people are victims of their own lack of awareness. They believe their life is a series of accidents, a collection of good or bad luck thrown at them by a capricious universe. This is a comfortable lie because it absolves you of any responsibility. But here is the hard truth. You are exactly where you have chosen to be. Every aspect of your current reality, your bank balance, your physical fitness, the depth of your relationships is the direct result of a choice you made or a choice you allowed someone else to make for you. You are not a passenger in your own life. You are the architect, even if you have been building in the dark until now. Take a deep breath and look at your hands. Everything you have accomplished, everything you possess, and everything you lack stems from your decisions. The problem isn't that you are making bad conscious choices. No one wakes up and says, "Today I will sabotage my career," or "Today I will ruin my health." The problem is that you are living on autopilot. You make choices by default. You choose ease out of habit. You choose distraction by reflex. These decisions are so small they feel invisible, yet they dictate your destiny. To become the mentor, the leader, the millionaire you aspire to be, you must first regain control of your consciousness. This starts with a radical concept: 100% responsibility. Imagine you are in a relationship that isn't working. If I asked you what your share of the responsibility is for the success of that relationship, what would you say? Most would say 50%. Some might say 60 or 40. A mentor's answer is different. For anything to work in your life, you must assume 100% of your results. If you don't carry the full weight of your results, you always leave a door open for an excuse. If you blame the economy, your boss, your parents, or the weather, you are giving them power over your life. By accepting that you are the sole person responsible for your failures and your successes, you take that power back. It's a dizzying feeling, isn't it? That is the price of premium freedom. Let's talk about luck. People often ask me if I've been lucky in business. My answer is always the same. Yes, I have been immensely lucky, but luck is a science. It can be summarized by a simple formula: preparation plus attitude multiplied by opportunity and validated by action. Preparation is your constant personal development. Attitude is your ability to see possibilities where others see problems. Opportunity is what presents itself to everyone every day. And action is your ability to jump on that opportunity without hesitation. If you aren't working on your preparation, you won't even see the opportunity as it passes you by. The world is full of people waiting for their luck to turn, while they have done nothing to sharpen their tools. Do not be one of them. I want to introduce you to a simple but lethal technique to snap out of autopilot. I call it tracking. Most people have no idea where their money or their time goes. They say they work hard, but if they logged every minute, they would see hours of emptiness. To change your trajectory, you must become a ruthless observer of yourself. Pick one area of your life you want to transform. Let's say your finances. For the next 3 weeks, I want you to write down every single cent that leaves your pocket. Every coffee, every subscription, every tip. Change nothing for now, just track. Why? Because you cannot manage what you do not measure. The simple act of tracking brings laser-like awareness to your behaviors. You will start to see the leaks. You will see those tiny, insignificant choices that, when compounded, keep you from financial independence. Have you ever tried to lose weight while ignoring what you eat? It's impossible. The same applies to your career. If you want to progress, start tracking your hours of actual production. Not the hours spent answering useless emails or organizing your desk, the hours where you create value. You will be shocked at how inefficient you actually are, but do not judge yourself. Shame is not a lever for growth. Awareness is. Tracking allows you to see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. It is the bridge from illusion to mastery. A mentor never moves on feelings. He moves on data.
Consider the story of a young entrepreneur I coached. He complained he never had enough capital to launch his projects. He thought the system was rigged against him. I asked him to track his spending for 1 month. He discovered he was spending nearly $800 a month on nightlife, eating out, and useless tech gadgets. Over a year, that was almost $10,000. He didn't lack capital. He lacked discipline in his micro choices. By changing just 3 decisions a day, he was able to fund his first business in less than 2 years. He didn't need a miracle. He needed a notebook and a pen. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail often lies in how they handle moments of discomfort. Your brain is hardwired to seek immediate pleasure and avoid pain. It's an archaic survival function, but in the modern world, it's a trap. Choosing not to eat that dessert, choosing to make that difficult sales call, choosing to wake up an hour earlier to read, these choices are uncomfortable in the moment, but it is precisely within that discomfort that your future wealth is built. If it were easy, everyone would be a millionaire. Difficulty is the filter that weeds out the pretenders to leave only the conquerors. Learn to savor the slight sting of discipline. It is the sign that you are gaining ground. Look around you. Most people are distracted. They are slaves to their notifications, their emotions, and the opinions of others. They make choices based on fear or the search for social validation. You must be different. Your choices must be aligned with your deep values and long-term goals. Every time you face a decision, no matter how small, ask yourself, does this choice move me closer to the man or woman I want to become? Or does it move me away? It is a binary question. There is no middle ground. If you are not moving forward, you are moving backward. Neutrality is an illusion that keeps you in mediocrity. The beauty of this approach is that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. If you make a bad choice, don't flagellate yourself. Note it. Observe the trigger. Was it fatigue, stress, loneliness? By understanding the root of your automatic choices, you can begin to design an environment that favors good ones. If you want to stop eating processed food, don't rely on willpower. Clear your cupboards. If you want to work more, move your phone away from your workspace. Simplify the architecture of your environment so that the right choice becomes the easiest choice. We are reaching the end of this lesson on mastering your invisible decisions. I want you to leave with this certainty. Your current life is the exact mirror of your past choices. This is hard news for some, but it is the best news you could receive, because it means that if you change your choices today, your life tomorrow will be radically different. You don't need to change the world. You just need to change how you handle the next 10 minutes. What is the one small choice right now that you can make to affirm your new identity? Do it. Don't think. Act. Clarity comes from action, not reflection. In the next chapter, we will see how to turn these conscious choices into powerful automatisms that work for you while you sleep. But for now, stay present. Be the master of your invisible decisions. Chapter 3. The Architecture of Habits. Have you ever found yourself driving home only to realize upon pulling into your driveway that you have no memory of the trip? Your body turned the wheel, your feet worked the pedals, and your mind was miles away. This is the power of habit. Roughly 40% of our daily behaviors are purely automatic. We are creatures of repetition. The problem is that if you haven't consciously programmed these automatisms, they are likely working against your highest ambitions.
A millionaire mentor doesn't fight his own willpower every morning. He designs routines that make success inevitable. A habit is a simple neurological loop, a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue triggers the behavior, the routine is the action itself, and the reward is that small shot of dopamine that tells your brain to do it again. To change your life, you don't need to change your personality, you need to hack this loop. Take money, for instance. If your cue is work-related stress, your routine might be ordering an expensive meal online, and your reward is immediate but fleeting comfort. The millionaire, however, has replaced that routine. When he is stressed, he goes for a run or meditates. The reward is mental clarity and the preservation of his capital. The cue is the same, but the long-term result is opposite. Why is it so difficult to break a bad habit? Because the moment you try to resist, you are using willpower. Willpower is a depletable resource, much like your phone's battery. If you've had a difficult day making decisions at the office, your willpower is drained by evening. That is when you cave. The premium solution is not to have more willpower, but to need less of it. You must become the architect of your environment. If you want to stop snacking, don't keep tempting food in your kitchen. If you want to read more, place an open book on your pillow every morning. Make the right choice easy and make the wrong choice painful. I want to tell you the story of a friend, a very successful investor. He used to smoke 2 packs a day. He didn't stop because of a sudden stroke of genius or a mystical revelation. He simply decided to make the act of smoking logistically unbearable. He started by leaving his cigarettes in the trunk of his car, parked 10 minutes away from his office. Every time he wanted to smoke, he had to walk, face the cold, and waste 20 minutes. Gradually, the friction outweighed the pleasure. He used human laziness to his advantage. What is the barrier you could build today between yourself and your worst vice?
Conversely, to create a powerful new habit, you must use the technique of habit stacking. Do not try to revolutionize your schedule. Graft your new habit onto an old one that is already solid. You brush your teeth every morning without thinking about it. That is an anchored habit. If you want to practice gratitude to improve your psychology, decide to name 3 things you are grateful for while you are brushing your teeth. You are using the momentum of an existing routine to launch a new one. It is elegant, effective, and requires no extra effort of will. Think of your habits as train tracks. Once the train is moving on the tracks, it consumes very little energy to keep going. But changing tracks requires immense force at the start. This is why the first 3 weeks of any change are the most critical. It is the takeoff phase. An airplane consumes most of its fuel during the first few minutes of flight to overcome gravity. Once at altitude, it glides. Your financial or professional success works the same way. Discipline is necessary at the beginning to install the system. Then the system carries you. Many of you fail because you try to change too many things at once. You want to go vegan, run a marathon, and learn Mandarin all at the same time on January 1st. It is a recipe for disaster. The mentor's approach is one of surgical precision. Choose one single habit, just one, but commit to never breaking it. Consistency is more important than quantity. It is better to walk for 10 minutes every day than to run for 2 hours once a week. Why? Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce your identity as a winner. Every time you abandon it, you teach your brain that your word has no value. Look at your current routines. Your morning and evening routines are the most important because they frame your day. How do you start your morning?
Is it by reacting to other people's emergencies on your phone, or by a deliberate action for your own growth? The millionaire owns his morning to own his day. Similarly, your evening routine prepares your success for the next day. Quality sleep and reflecting on lessons learned are the most profitable investments you can make. Are you willing to sacrifice an hour of sterile entertainment for a lifetime of total freedom? Success is not a feat, it is a habit. If you look at the greatest achievements of humanity, you will see thousands of hours of invisible, boring repetitions behind every moment of glory. You must learn to love the boredom of repetition. That is where true wealth is hidden. Ordinary people seek excitement. Extraordinary people seek mastery. And mastery is the fruit of a habit polished day after day with the patience of a craftsman. To conclude this chapter, I challenge you. Identify the one habit that, if practiced every day for a year, would radically transform your career or your health. Don't look for something complex, look for something simple but powerful. Once identified, lay the first rail tonight. Do not put it off until tomorrow. Tomorrow is where dreams go to die. The future is built in the automatism of the present. Be the architect, not the victim. In the next chapter, we will talk about the mysterious force that will accelerate your results beyond your expectations: momentum.
Chapter 4. The Power of Momentum. Have you ever tried to push a stalled car? At first, you have to strain every muscle in your body. You push with all your might, your face contorted with effort, and yet the vehicle doesn't move a single millimeter. You feel like your heart might burst. Then, after a colossal struggle, the tires begin to rotate, very, very slowly. You keep pushing, leaning into the metal, and suddenly the car picks up speed. It feels lighter. Soon, you no longer need to exert maximum force. You almost have to run just to keep up with it. This, my friend, is momentum. In the world of high-level success, we call it Big Mo. It is the most powerful ally a millionaire can have, but it is also the most difficult guest to invite into your home. Once it arrives, however, it becomes an unstoppable force that does the heavy lifting for you. Momentum is that invisible energy where success starts to breed more success. It is the reason why the rich seem to get richer with less effort, and why winners appear to glide through life, while others are constantly grinding gears. But make no mistake, to invite Big Mo into your life, you must first survive the startup phase, the phase where you provide 100% of the effort for only 1% of the result. This is the kill zone for most people's dreams. They quit just before the car becomes light. They assume the effort will always be this intense, not realizing that the physics of success change radically once movement is established. To activate this force in your career or your bank account, you need two fundamental pillars: routine and rhythm. Routine is what you do. Rhythm is how often and how predictably you do it. Imagine a drummer in a world-class band. If he changes the tempo every 10 seconds, the music is unlistenable. If he maintains a steady, unwavering beat, even a simple one, he carries the entire band on his shoulders. Your life is that music. If you work with frantic intensity for 3 days and then do nothing for a week, you kill your momentum. You are essentially stopping the car and letting it roll back down the hill. You exhaust your energy overcoming inertia over and over again. The secret is not intensity, it is cadence. Look at elite athletes. They don't just train when they feel inspired. Inspiration is for amateurs. Professionals have a sacred rhythm.
Michael Phelps didn't become the most decorated swimmer in history by jumping in the pool once in a while. He trained every single day, including Christmas and his birthdays, for years. Why? Because he knew that a single day of rest would break the neurological and physical rhythm of momentum. He understood that one day off requires 2 days of effort just to get back to where he was. Are you willing to protect your rhythm with the same fervor a gold medalist protects his training schedule? If not, you will always be fighting inertia.
Momentum also has a dark side. If you have negative habits, Big Mo will work against you with the same terrifying efficiency. If you start accumulating small debts or neglecting your health, the slope becomes steeper and your downward speed accelerates. In the beginning, it's easy to stop. But after months of drift, the kinetic energy of your failure becomes almost impossible to halt without a catastrophic intervention. This is why it is vital to intercept bad trajectories at the very first sign of drift. How is your momentum today? Is it propelling you toward the heights of freedom, or is it dragging you toward the abyss of regret? Be honest about the direction of your current movement. To activate Big Mo in your finances, you must create systems that do not depend on your mood or the morning news. Automate your investments. Schedule your deep work blocks. If you have to think about what you're going to do every morning, you've already lost the battle to decision fatigue. Momentum thrives on predictability. When your actions become reflexes, mental resistance disappears. This is when you start accomplishing in 1 hour what used to take you an entire day. You aren't working harder, you are working with the accumulated kinetic force of your past successes. You are finally in the zone. I often ask those I mentor a simple question. What is the smallest action you can perform every single day without exception to signal to the universe that you are serious? For some, it is making 5 prospecting calls. For others, it is saving $20 or writing 500 words. The size of the action is secondary. The lack of a break in the chain is everything. Every day you check that box, you add a gear to the machinery of momentum. Once you have linked 100 days together, the accumulated force becomes so great that obstacles that used to stop you in your tracks are now crushed under your weight. The secret of the wealthy is not doing extraordinary things, it is doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. It is this consistency that eventually creates a breach in reality. The world always yields to the person who refuses to stop. Momentum is the tipping point where your past starts to fund your future. It is the moment when the compound interest of your efforts becomes visible to the naked eye. But remember, Big Mo is a demanding partner. If you neglect him, he will leave as quickly as he arrived. He requires constant, rhythmic feeding. As you reflect on your current path, look at your weekly rhythm. Have you been steady, or have you been a series of starts and stops? If you have stalled, do not waste time on guilt. Guilt is just more inertia. Simply put your shoulder back to the car. Push again. The first inch is the hardest, but it is the only one that truly matters to get the wheels turning once more. Power is not found in the giant leap. It is found in the continuous crawl that eventually becomes a sprint. In the next chapter, we will explore the external forces, the vents of influence, that can either blow you off course or act as a tailwind. Chapter 5. The Winds of Influence. Imagine you are piloting a high-performance jet. You have cleared the runway, your engines are roaring, and momentum is carrying you effortlessly through the clouds. Everything seems perfect. Yet, without your knowledge, an invisible jet stream hitting you at 200 miles per hour is pushing you off course. If you do not adjust your heading, you will end up thousands of miles away from your destination, despite all your discipline and hard work. In the journey toward wealth and mastery, these invisible currents are called influence. We like to believe we are completely independent thinkers, but that is a costly illusion. You are the product of three major external forces: what you put into your mind, the people you spend your time with, and the environment that surrounds you. For a millionaire mentor, controlling these influences is not an option. It is a matter of survival. The first force is your informational input. Your brain is a data processing machine. If you feed it a steady diet of tragic news, celebrity gossip, and endless social media scrolls, do not be surprised if your mind produces anxiety and distraction. The brain never sleeps. It processes everything you give it. This is what I call your mental diet. A high-level athlete would never eat spoiled food before a competition. Why do you treat your mind with less respect than your stomach? The millionaire selects his information as carefully as he selects his investments, with ruthless rigor. He replaces noise with wisdom, notifications with study, and opinions with facts. He knows that garbage in leads to garbage out. Look at your consumption over the last 24 hours. How much of that information actually served your growth? How much of it simply served to kill time? Time never dies alone. It takes you with it. I encourage you to guard your mind like a fortress. Filter the entries. Unsubscribe from anything that makes you feel envious, bitter, or small. Replace it with books, high-quality podcasts, and teachings that elevate your mental frequency. If you change the quality of the data you feed your brain, you will automatically change the quality of the decisions that come out of it. The second force is perhaps the most powerful: your associations. You have likely heard the saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not just a motivational quote, it's a sociological reality. The people around you determine what is normal. If your friends constantly complain about the economy, you will eventually believe that success is impossible. If they spend their weekends wasting money they don't have, you will find yourself doing the same. Conversely, if you surround yourself with builders, optimists, and people who have higher standards than your own, you will be pulled upward by simple osmosis. Success is contagious, but so is mediocrity. Which one are you catching? I am not asking you to brutally cut ties with everyone you know. I am asking you to perform a clinical audit of your relationships. There are 3 types of people in your life. Those you must eliminate because they are toxic to your ambition. Those you must limit because they drain your energy. And those you must actively seek out. Find mentors, even virtual ones. Find peers who challenge you. If you are the smartest or richest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. A millionaire always seeks a room where he feels slightly uncomfortable, because that discomfort is the evidence of growth. Finally, there is your physical environment. Your workspace, your home, and even the city you live in influence your psychology. A cluttered desk reflects and amplifies a cluttered mind. An environment that breathes order and excellence prompts you to act with order and excellence. You don't need to be wealthy yet to create a premium environment. Start with cleanliness, simplicity, and silence. Create sanctuaries where distraction has no place. Your environment should be an accomplice to your success, not an obstacle. It should remind you every day of the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Ask yourself this question as you look at your immediate surroundings. Do these people and these objects help me become the version of myself capable of generating millions, or do they keep me anchored to the version that is merely surviving? The answer is often painful, but it is the starting point of your transformation. You cannot ask an eagle to fly high if it is surrounded by turkeys telling it that the sky is dangerous. Change your frequency, and you will change your destination. Take control of your influences today. Choose a book over a useless video. Call the friend who inspires you instead of the one who pities you. Clean the desk that oppresses you.
You will find that when the winds of influence blow at your back rather than against you, the speed at which you reach your goals becomes breathtaking. In the next chapter, we will go on the offensive and see how acceleration can turn an ordinary success into a legendary achievement. But for now, clear out your fortress. Subscribe the Millionaire Library, and if you want to go deeper, I left a full playlist waiting for you in the description.
Chapter 6: The Art of Acceleration. Imagine you are running a marathon. You have maintained a steady pace, your habits are solid, and momentum is carrying you forward. Most of your competitors are doing the same. They are breathing hard, eyes fixed on the ground, waiting for the finish line to appear. It is at this precise moment, when you hit your limit, that the opportunity for acceleration presents itself. A millionaire mentor doesn't just keep pace, he looks for the breaking point of others to deliver his maximum effort. Acceleration is not about constant speed, it is the ability to give an extra push exactly where everyone else stops. It is that little bit more that transforms an ordinary result into a legendary victory. There is a concept I call the wall. In every project, every investment, and every new skill, you will hit this wall. It is the moment when the novelty has worn off, fatigue sets in, and results seem to plateau. Most people see the wall as a signal to slow down or quit. The mentor, however, sees it as a blessing. Why? Because if it is hard for you, it is hard for everyone else. The wall is the filter that eliminates your competition. If you can accelerate just when you feel like letting go, you aren't just taking one more step, you are creating an unbridgeable gap. Success is not measured by what you do when things are going well, but by what you produce when you are out of breath. Think of a professional cyclist on a steep mountain climb. Most riders climb at their steady limit, just trying to survive the incline. But the champion waits for the steepest turn, the one where the legs burn the most, to launch an attack. He knows that is where the psychological impact on his rivals will be the strongest. In business, it's the same. When the market is in crisis, when everyone else is cutting budgets and hiding, that is the time to invest, to prospect twice as hard, and to innovate. Acceleration in adversity is worth 10 times the effort provided in ease. Are you ready to be the one who attacks when the world pauses? Acceleration is also about exceeding expectations, including your own. If you are asked to deliver a report by Friday, deliver it on Thursday with an extra analysis no one asked for. If you planned to make 10 sales calls, make 12. This extra bit represents only 10 or 20% more effort, but it generates 200% more results in terms of reputation and momentum. This is the 1% rule. By doing just a little bit more than what is required, you step out of the mass of okay people and into the elite circle of exceptional people. The premium world only recognizes the exceptional. Look at your current commitments. Where are you doing the bare minimum? In your relationships? In your savings? In your health? Doing the bare minimum is the riskiest strategy in the world, because the slightest unforeseen event will knock you into failure. Acceleration creates a margin of safety. By always doing more than necessary, you accumulate reserves of success that protect you during dark days. A millionaire isn't someone who got lucky once. They are someone who made a habit of surpassing expectations so often that success became their only option. One of the keys to acceleration is being prepared for the unpredictable. When an obstacle arises, do not see it as an interruption of your work. See the obstacle as the work.
If you learn to pivot and accelerate in the face of a problem, you turn every difficulty into a growth lever. It's a matter of psychology. The loser looks for someone to blame. The mentor looks for how to use the situation to go faster. Ask yourself, what is the problem weighing on you most today? Now imagine that problem is the very fuel you need to double your speed. How could you use it? Never forget that acceleration requires recovery. You cannot sprint indefinitely, but the secret is to sprint when it matters most. Choose your moments. Identify the phases of your career or projects that have the highest leverage potential and give everything you have. Then, once the hill is climbed, return to your cruising rhythm to recharge. Success is an alternation of steady rhythm and bursts of brilliance. It is this dynamic that creates fortunes that last. To conclude this chapter, I invite you to identify your steep turn. What area of your life are you just coasting in? Today, I'm asking you to add a dose of acceleration. Make that extra call. Save those extra $50. Write one more page. Feel the power that comes from knowing you did more than the world expected of you. It is in this surplus that your freedom resides. In the next chapter, we will see how to protect your gains and maintain your altitude over the long term.
Chapter 7. The Fortress of Resilience. You have activated momentum. You have learned to accelerate, and you are beginning to see the first fruits of your labor. But I must warn you, the road to the summit is not a straight, clear path. It is rugged terrain where storms are inevitable. Many who manage to take off crash at the first sign of thunder because they haven't built an internal fortress. Resilience is not an option for the millionaire, it is their armor. It is the ability not just to take a hit, but to use that impact to grow stronger. The world will test your resolve. The question is not whether you will fall, but how fast you will stand back up. Most people view failure as the opposite of success. This is a beginner's mistake. Failure is an essential component of success. Every rejection, every financial loss, every project that crumbles is data. A mentor never says, "I failed." They say, "I paid tuition at the school of life." If you aren't failing regularly, it means you aren't playing big enough. Your ability to tolerate the discomfort of failure determines the height of your financial ceiling. The more complex and painful problems you can handle without losing your cool, the more valuable you become to the marketplace. Look at the great builders of this century. They have all known moments where everything seemed lost. What separates them from the masses is not the absence of fear, but their refusal to let fear take the wheel. Resilience is a muscle built in the small frustrations of daily life. How do you react when a meeting is canceled or a client changes their mind? If you lose your composure over details, how will you handle a major crisis? Learn to see every unforeseen event as a training exercise for your character. A premium mind is a mind that remains stable when everything around it wavers. One of the secrets of resilience is emotional detachment from immediate results. You must be obsessed with the process, but detached from the outcome. If your happiness depends on the number in your bank account every morning, you are a slave to circumstances. The millionaire knows that if they respect their habits and their rhythm, the result will eventually arrive by mathematical necessity. This detachment gives you a clarity your competitors don't have. They act out of desperation or euphoria, two emotions that cloud judgment. You act out of strategy and faith in the law of compounding. I want to ask you a sincere question. What is the limit of your endurance? At what point do you say, "This is too hard"? For most, it's the moment comfort is threatened. For you, this must change. Your comfort zone is a gilded cage that shrinks over time if you don't push it. Resilience is about intentionally expanding that zone.
Seek out the difficulty. Face the conversations you've been avoiding. Make the investments that make you a little nervous. By habituating your nervous system to handle stress, you become unshakable. The fortress of resilience is also built through strategic rest. Do not confuse resilience with exhaustion. A fortress wall needs the mortar to dry to be solid. If you work relentlessly until you burn out, you aren't building success, you are preparing a collapse. The mentor knows the importance of silence, sleep, and disconnection. These moments are not wastes of time, they are phases of critical maintenance. A rested mind sees solutions, where an exhausted mind sees only walls. Do you know when to stop so you can start again stronger? Remember the story of the oak and the reed. The oak is proud and rigid. It resists until it snaps under a storm that is too strong. The reed bends, adapts, and stands back up. Your resilience must be that of the reed. Be flexible in your methods, but inflexible in your goals. If a path is blocked, don't give up on the destination. Find another trail. This mental agility is what allows great fortunes to survive recessions and technological shifts without vanishing. To conclude this chapter, I ask you to identify your greatest current fear. Is it the fear of running out of money, the fear of judgment, or the fear of not being enough? Look that fear in the face. It is nothing more than a shadow cast by your own light. By building your fortress of resilience, you will discover that nothing external can truly harm you as long as you remain the master of your internal world. In the next chapter, we will see how this inner strength transforms into real influence over others. Leadership by example.
Chapter 8. The Aura of Leadership by Example. Look around you. The world is saturated with talkers, theorists, and critics. Most people spend their time telling others what they should do without ever applying it to themselves. The millionaire mentor knows that the highest form of influence is not speech, it is embodiment. You cannot demand discipline from your employees, partners, or children if you are yourself a slave to your impulses. Leadership is not a title on a business card, it is a radiation. It is the quiet strength that emanates from someone whose actions are in perfect alignment with their words. When you become the living example of the compound effect, you no longer need to convince. Your presence is enough. Ask yourself this: if everyone acted exactly as you act, would the world collapse or would it become an empire of success? This question is the most brutal mirror there is. Leadership begins with self-mastery. Before directing millions of dollars, you must direct your own mornings. Before managing complex teams, you must manage your own energy. This radical integrity is what creates trust, and in the modern economy, trust is the most valuable currency. An investor does not just bet on an idea, they bet on the man or woman behind it. They look for the solidity of character, forged in the silence of daily habits. Leadership is also about having the courage to set standards where others seek compromises. Most people settle for what is acceptable. For you, acceptable must become the enemy. By raising your own standards, you naturally force those around you to either rise up or move away. Never apologize for being demanding, as long as you are the first to meet those demands. This is how cultures of excellence are built, whether in a small business or within a family. Your rigor becomes a beacon for those seeking direction. Are you that beacon today, or are you just one more person drifting in the fog of excuses? One of the most misunderstood traits of great leaders is the humility to remain a student. The person who thinks they have reached the summit is already on their way down. The millionaire mentor is a lifelong apprentice. He listens more than he speaks. He observes the small details that others overlook. By showing your team that you are capable of questioning yourself and learning, you create an environment of continuous growth.
Leadership by example is also about showing how to handle failure. When you make a mistake, do not hide it. Show how you analyze it, how you learn from it, and how you start again with more strength. This is how you teach resilience. I invite you to observe your social interactions. Are you seeking to impress people or to impact them? Impression is superficial and temporary. Impact is deep and lasting. To impact others, you must be sincerely interested in their own compound effect. Help them identify their small levers. Share your struggles as much as your victories. A premium leader is not a god on a pedestal. He is a guide who knows the terrain because he treads it every day. Your authority does not come from your wealth, but from the consistency of your journey. Leadership is an immense responsibility. Your actions create shock waves that touch people you may never even meet. By choosing discipline, you give others permission to do the same. By choosing excellence, you denounce mediocrity without saying a word. This is the noblest form of power. It is not power over others, but power for others. What kind of shock waves have you generated today? Have your silences been productive? Have your gestures been inspiring? To conclude this chapter, identify one person in your life who needs direction. Do not give them a speech. Do not offer unsolicited advice. Simply be so exemplary in your own discipline that this person eventually asks for your secret. At that moment, and only at that moment, can you pass the torch. In the final chapter, we will synthesize this entire journey and see how to seal your destiny so that the results of the compound effect never stop growing. Be the leader you would want to follow.
Chapter 9. The Legacy of Consistency. We have reached the end of this journey, but in reality, you are at the dawn of your true ascent. You now hold the compass, the map, and the engine in your hands. You understand that success is not a thunderclap in a blue sky, but a fine, continuous rain that eventually carves out canyons. The final secret of the millionaire mentor, the one that seals all others, is the perspective of legacy. The compound effect does not stop at your bank account or your personal comfort. It ripples outward. It influences your bloodline, your community, and the era in which you live. Your responsibility is to keep this flame alive, no longer just to get, but to become and to give. The greatest danger facing you now is complacency. Success is a garden that requires daily maintenance. If you stop watering your habits under the pretext that you have reached a plateau, the weeds of mediocrity will return with disconcerting speed. The millionaire never retires from growth. He simply changes scale. Stay hungry, stay humble, and above all, stay constant. The magic of the compound effect lies in its exponential trajectory. The gains you have made so far are nothing compared to those that await you if you refuse to break the chain. Look at the path traveled since Chapter 1. You are no longer the same person. Your perspective on time, on your choices, and on your circle has shifted. You have acquired a clarity that the majority of people will never know. This clarity is your unfair advantage. Use it wisely. No longer seek the validation of others. Seek the validation of your own standards. Every night, before closing your eyes, ask yourself if the man or woman you were this morning would be proud of who you have become tonight. This is the only metric that truly matters for a premium destiny. I want to congratulate you. Few people have the discipline required to listen, integrate, and meditate on these principles until the end. Your presence here proves that you are part of that silent elite who prefers to build in the shadows rather than shine without a foundation. The world needs leaders like you,
People who prove by example that patience and ethical work are the only true shortcuts to greatness. You have the potential to transform not only your life, but the lives of thousands of others. Do not waste this gift through impatience or distraction. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through these pages. It has been an honor to share these life principles with you. I firmly believe in your ability to achieve every goal you have set for yourself, provided you give time the permission to work for you. Do not fear slowness, fear only stillness. Move forward with the quiet certainty that every small step counts and that the summit is merely a matter of repetition. The future belongs to those who master their present. Congratulations again on this commitment to yourself. You have taken a crucial step. Continue to feed your mind, protect your momentum, and cultivate your resilience. Your success is no longer a hypothesis. It is a certainty in the process of downloading. I wish you a life rich in meaning, freedom, and impact. The journey continues, and I look forward to meeting you at the peaks of achievement. Be proud of yourself, but never be satisfied. Excellence is a horizon that recedes as we advance, and that is what makes the walk so fascinating.